Hi, my name is Franco, and this is Franco Eats. Today we're going to be making a beautiful pan-seared duck. Let's get cooking. So we're going to start off with our duck. I have just one duck breast here that I'm going to use, but you can do this with as many as you'd like. So I'm going to take this out of the package and just give it a really nice pat with a paper towel. Just make sure it's really dry. This will just help with the cooking process because as the duck cooks, it's going to release a lot of fat. And season this quite liberally with salt. A nice layer just on both sides. And we're going to score the skin. So you want to make cross hatches, but you don't want to cut completely through the skin, just through about a quarter of it, and going down the entire duck with about 1/2 inch in between every single score, just so that the fat can release from the duck while it's being cooked, sous vide as well as in the pan. And season this with salt. I like to season it after just because it gets into some of the crosshatches that we made. Put this into a sous vide bag and we're going to put in a couple of orange slices. So take the orange and cut it like you would be supreming it. So take off the ends and the outside, and then we're just going to cut this up into a couple of smaller pieces and put this into the bag with the duck. This will just help flavor it as it cooks sous vide. Essentially what we're doing is just taking it, putting it into a bag and letting it cook in its own juices and fat, and adding the orange to it will just help give it sort of an underlying orange flavor, which will be very beneficial later on. We'll vacuum seal this and drop it into the sous vide bath, which is at 129 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to cook that for about 1.5 hours. So next, take the skin off of some orange. You can use a microplane for this as well, but I just chose to cut it off with my knife and cube it. So I just cut this up really nice and small, super fine. And we'll just save this for later. Now we're going to essentially make a caramel with this white sugar and a little bit of our orange zest. So just really cook this out until it gets a really nice smell and flavor. And just keep cooking it out, stirring it every once in a while. And it's going to really get that really nice caramel flavor and color on it. You'll be able to tell when it's almost done. And what we're doing here is essentially just creating a duck sauce, so an orange sauce for the duck. So add in some orange juice, give it a nice stir, and you really want to incorporate all of this. It's going to separate at first, but whisking it and stirring it over heat will help break down the caramel or the one piece of sugar that was created. Add in a little bit of butter and some apple cider vinegar just to give it a nice little balance of flavor, the butter for the richness. And we're just going to reduce this. So reduce it into about 1/4 of what it was, stirring constantly, and take it off and reserve it. So now we're going to add a little bit of butter to that same pot and sort of let this melt out. And we're going to create a roux. So melting out the butter, and we're going to add a little bit of flour to that. And instead of just adding in the stock right after this, we are going to cook out the flour so it doesn't have a flour taste to it. And you'll be able to tell it will get brown-ish color, and that's sort of the cue to add in the stock. And mix this really well so it's fully incorporated, and just reduce it again by 1/4. Add in our orange sauce, whisk it constantly, and reduce it again just by about 1/2. And save it for later. So now we're going to create the garnish, so supreme some oranges, so take off the skin, and we're just going to cut it into these little segments in between the membrane. It's a really great skill. It's just super delicious. It gets rid of any of the tough part of the orange, or any citrus for that matter, and it looks really beautiful. Now we'll take the duck out of our sous vide bag, so just cut it open, take it out, and we want to dry it off because the duck is going to render out a lot of fat when it's exposed to high heat, and not having any water on it will help it stick into the pan. So we want to put it into a ripping hot pan and not really move it around too much, but push it down with a towel. And you can see a lot of the fat is just starting to spew out of the sides, and it will help caramelize the bottom, create that Maillard reaction. You want to let it cook in there. There's going to be a lot of smoke, so turn on the fan if you have one. But you want to render out a lot of that fat and get that super delicious crispy skin on the duck that's just absolutely fantastic. And you'll start to see once the duck changes color from that pink, almost uncooked, to a gray, that's when you'll know that it's pretty much done. And I took it and just cut it up into 2 pieces, put that onto a plate with a nice scoop of our orange sauce. And an orange supreme. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic duck à l'orange. Until next time, my name is Franco, and this has Franco Eats. Bon appetit.
Holy